Guess who's back? Back again. Brother Ron. Tell a friend. Guess who's back and still black? Guess who's back and still black? It's me, Brother Ron. On the 1, 2, 3, it's we all be news free. Dixie, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yay, yay. Yay, yay. I just thank you all for coming in to tune out, to tune in, to get in where you fit in. It's your brother Ron. This is we all be. Let's see something. I think I got everything set up correctly. About to find out soon enough. It's Brother Ron to the 1, to the 2, to the 3. It's we all be. News free Dixie for the 21st century.
Some people think the Zaxby sensation.
News free Dixie for the 21st century. News free Dixie for the 21st century. Yeah. I think y'all can see me, y'all can hear me, y'all can feel me out there. I have some technical difficulties on my end. But I think what I'm going to do is come on back in. But we're going to get started. It's a lot to talk about tonight, rather. This is the second day or the second night of the Jimmie Lunsford Jamboree Festival Week. It is our annual Jimmie Lunsford Jamboree Festival Week. 2024, the second day. We are in, and I promised to provide some type of infotainment, edutainment for at least a week time. I've been doing that since 2017. Rain, sun, sleet or snow. Rain, sun, sleet or snow. Jazznocracy now. Jazznocracy tomorrow. And Jazznocracy forever. And ever. But I'm trying to get situated. This is weird. I pop on to the show. And I'm having technical difficulties. Just bear with me, people. My good people, just bear with me. Can't you see? We are under attack. But it's we all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. All right, we're back on track, y'all. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. We got a great show for you all today, or tonight, rather. And you know, if you haven't heard the word from Brother Heard in a minute, because I've been under fire. This is true spiritual warfare going on. I want to thank everybody out there. Thank you for offering your powerful prayers, high vibrations, words of affirmation. I've been going through it lately. If you don't know, now you know. But you're going to know some more. And just came out of a recent 1 week stay, unexpected stay in the hospital. And I'm going to tell y'all something. This is when y'all really realize that your health is your wealth. Without your health, you can't do much anything else. Health is very vital. It's very important to take good care of your health. Like some people take care of Wall Street investment stocks and stuff. Take care of your health. It's the greatest corporation going. Investment in you is very important. And I spent a week in the hospital. Became an advocate for myself unexpectedly. Had to advocate my body, my choice. It's not just for women. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. People that I have not even known for 44 minutes will try to get me to make some drastic decisions. One of the most drastic decisions I would have to make in my 44 years of living. And somehow I stood my ground, 10 toes down, even though my 10 toes were compromised. But I still stood firm, moral compass still intact, integrity still intact, and I'm here with you all to give not just the good news, but to tell you how TI is. Can't you see? I have my magic glasses on. Do you have your prescription magic glasses from the universal God? If not, there's no need to fear, because Brother Ron is here. But anyway, we're gonna get to the show. It's a lot to talk about. Thank you, Antoine, for tuning out to tune in and get in where you fit in with Brother Ron. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And there's a lot going on. And everything's political. There's a lot to talk about in terms of this presidential election cycle. But I'm not going to talk about that too much tonight. But I will make time this week, most definitely, to get in my thoughts about what's going on in this current election cycle. And you remember, like 20 years ago, Diddy had that campaign, Vote or Die. You know, the Vote or Die campaign he had, that was 20 years ago. And now it seems like it's been manifested. You know, think about it. Diddy was doing Vote or Die 20 years ago. Now you got celebrities 20 years later who might have some type of interest in association with Diddy. They're telling people to vote like their lives depend on it. Livelihoods, lives depend on it. They're telling people to vote like their lives and livelihood depends on it. Diddy had the Vote or Die campaign back in 2004. I'm of the MTV generation, right? Remember, he was running that campaign. Really was one-sided for the Democrats or Democrats, whatever. Kerry lost that election cycle. He lost Ohio. Allegedly, there was some voting irregularities going on as usual, because both sides like to cheat. In baseball, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's how baseball is all built on cheating, which is interesting to me. America is built on cheating. It's about deception. Like, you know, baseball, they want to not put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and the Baseball Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown, allegedly the hometown of Abner Doubleday, the alleged father of baseball, who may not have played even a lick or inning of baseball in his life, which is interesting. Look it up. Major League Baseball actually did a deep dive rabbit hole investigation into its origins. And what I found out, can't remember all the details, but it sounds like that the Abner Doubleday was not the inventor of baseball, and that the Baseball Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown, his hometown rather, and he may not even have invented baseball. But that's the American way. You know, you go to war on a lie, and yeah, if you go to war on a lie, you fight on that lie. You fight and die on that lie. Oh, thank you. You said my mic is, turn my mic down. Hello? Is this better? Hello? Shit's on. Hello? Think I can hear myself. Shit's on. Okay. I'm gonna go with that. I think I hear myself better. Go ahead, turn down all two way. But yeah, America is about deception and built on lies, right? This is the American dream, which is an American nightmare for some. Or like, you know, people will say, well, the opposite of hate is love, or the opposite of love is hate. And I would tell people the opposite of hate or love is indifference. Hate is a form of love. So with that said, you know, a lot of us have a love and hate relationship with our country, our constitutional republic known as America, United States of America. And what I want to talk about tonight is very interesting. I'm thinking about this hip hop song from back in the day, before everything went to, you know, rap COINTELPRO, so to speak, before the government really co-opted hip hop. We had some unity rap back in the day. Y'all remember the anthems, like self destruction. We heading for self destruction. Self destruction. We heading for self destruction. And then you remember like that was from the East Coast, kind of. Then you had the West Coast. We all in the same game. We all in the same game. Remember that with Michelle A singing the hook or whatever. So you had all this. This is before how I break down rap. Like you got BC. You have like people talking about BC before Christ. You had BC and rap hip hop before Chronic. Before Chronic, right? You had a group like NWA. I remember when NWA, you know who I'm talking about, Ice Cube, Dre, Easy E, MC Yella, MC Ren, Arabian Prince, whoever, and everybody, and ever. They talked about in Express Yourself how Dre said he didn't smoke no weed or cess. But his debut album, his solo album, right, was called What the Chronic. And what did they talk about in the Chronic? Promoting weed, marijuana use, right? So he went from being anti-drugs to being pro-chronic in just several short years. So what happened between that time? So my thing is the music has compromised our people. And I will tell people this now. I just saw CB4. It's been some years since I seen the movie CB4. It was a satire, a parody, whatever you would call it, about hip hop rap culture back in the early 90s. This is around the peak of gangster rap, of the NWA, Ice Cube, Ruthless, Death Row variety, right? It stars Chris Rock along with Alan Payne from New Jack City and some of the Tyler Perry stuff. And Jason's lyric, Alan Payne and some other notables. Matter of fact, the record label president and their manager, Trust Us, whatever, was played by Willard Pugh, who was a childhood friend of my mom. He's from Memphis. It's the same guy who played Harpo on The Color Purple, on the original Color Purple. He was Harpo. And he played the mayor of Detroit in RoboCop 2. And he was their manager and record label executive. And Charlie Murphy played the villain known as Gusto, the local gangster known as Gusto, who had a club called Gusto's, where up and coming rappers could, get a little mic time to develop their craft. So I saw CB4 back on Friday night, and I said, man, my God, is this predictive programming or what? Because it's 3 movies I would tell people right now to understand what's going on right now in the world today. It's 3 movies I would tell people, not the only movies, but I would start with, understand this election climate, this cultural climate we are in. Look at the movie Idiocracy. That was, I think, created by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. I think in Office Space, I believe. That's this movie, Idiocracy. Look at CB4, which talk about the hip hop, rap, COINTELPRO thing going on. And also look at Zoolander, which talks about the fashion industry. That's a parody satire, with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller, I believe, was in that. And the reason why I say those, because I saw CB4, and it was things that I didn't catch as a teenager that I'm more aware of now as a 40-something-year-old person with some life experiences who actually likes to research and study. And basically, CB4 shows you what they was doing when it came to the so-called hip-hop rap culture, how they was using that to control our children, to control their minds. Even, people talking about now with the aftermath of the Diddy situation about the rainbow agenda in hip-hop. And the thing about it is, they had a scene in CB4 that alluded to the fact that they utilized hip hop to feminize young black males. There's a scene towards the end. I'm not going to do this. I won't do no spoiler alert. I'm not going to talk about the scene, but there's a scene towards the end of CB4 that shows you how they try to use the music to feminize black boys in particular. But really, it's kind of like what people talked about, when people was questioning the Kennedy assassination. after the Warren Commission report came out, how people was questioning the Kennedy assassination, and people forget what happened after the Warren Commission come out. What happened next? The British invasion. The British invasion. The Beatles happened. The Beatles came to America, and according to the likes of none other than John Lennon, the Beatles were utilized to hook the American young people on drugs. Our government utilized the Beatles, who was a product, from my understanding, of the Tavistock Institute. The Tavistock Institute has its roots in the COINTELPRO program, but they utilized the music of the Beatles to hook our young people on drugs to keep us from being critical thinkers. Like, think about songs like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. That's about LSD. Hey Jude is about heroin. Matter of fact, my Jegna, excuse me, Baba Dick Gregory, he actually was a guru. He became a health spiritual guru for John Lennon in a very pivotal point in his life. With him, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono, John Lennon's wife, girlfriend, baby mama, they're trying to kick their drug habit. They invited Dick Gregory to come to Europe to detox him. Dick Gregory helped detox John Lennon off of drugs for good, from my understanding. And they were living in a cave, a cave mansion in Europe somewhere. And Dick gifted like John Lennon a prayer book, or some type of esoteric prayer book, and that was the inspiration for him to write the song Imagine, like John Lennon's anti-war pro-peace song Imagine. He said it himself, he was inspired by that prayer book or whatever it was that Dick gave him. So Dick is really a co-writer of one of John Lennon's most memorable, biggest hits, Imagine. But he was telling Dick Gregory how they were used to compromise the youth, how the music industry was using their music to put people on a hypnosis of some type, to promote a certain type of behavior, basically turning us into zombies, mindless zombies. And that's John Lennon. He didn't say no word. Like, for example, Jimi Hendrix, a lot of people believe that he met with foul play. It wasn't just an overdose. He actually was murdered. A lot of people believe Jimi Hendrix was murdered. And the reason why people believe that, because Jimi Hendrix manager at the time of his death, Mike Jeffrey, I believe the guy's name was, come to find out he was MI6 British intelligence. They, at one point he was British intelligence. This is the guy that at one point was over Jimi Hendrix's estate, from my research, I believe. And somehow he died in a plane crash. He disappeared. His body was never recovered from a so-called plane crash. He could probably fake this death. He's living on Epstein Island somewhere. Who knows? But Mike Jeffrey, who was Jimi Hendrix's manager at the time of his death, was British intelligence. And Jimi Hendrix was watched by the governments, especially in the U.S. and the British governments. He did a reverse invasion. Like the Beatles came to America and Jimmy went to England or the UK. But Jimi Hendrix was actually a big financial supporter of the Black Panther Party as well, too. He gave, from my understanding, sizable donations to the Black Panther Party. And the people always got this thing about Jimi Hendrix. He was too white for black audience, and he was too black. He was too black for white audiences. But when you came to his shows, it was everybody there. They were packed out. And it was interesting about Jimi Hendrix. He started in the blues R&B world, right? He used to play for people like Curtis Mayfield, Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, the Isley Brothers, Little Richard. He paid his dues on the so-called, what they call the Chitlin Circuit. So he come from us. He's more like us than Kamala, if you're a black American. I'm just saying. I just had to throw that in there. But like a good friend and Jegno of mine, Mr. Emerson Abel Jr. would say, Ron, nobody dies a natural death in show business. He said, nobody dies a natural death in show business Let me get my Dr. Umar on. Nobody dies a death in a natural death in show business. And he worked at Stax back in the day. He worked for the Isaac Hayes movement. He knew Otis Redding personally, and he had some stories to tell. He worked for the one and only Sammy Davis Jr. He told me some things off the record, which are very interesting. And so, with that said, we're getting to come. Thank y'all for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. Thank you, Law Dog. Oi, back to you. Oi, 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 oi. Thank you. Brother Tim C. He said, Brother Ron, my family from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Yet they don't know who Ida B. Wells is. They don't know who Fannie Lou Hamer is. Thank you for being the righteous brother that told me so I can tell them. Oh, thank you, brother. But that's not a surprise to me. That is nothing to be surprised about. A lot of our people in Memphis don't know who Ida B. Wells was. And she got a statue on Bill Street. On Ida B. Wells Street now. 4th Street is known as Ida B. Wells Street. Intersect with Bill Street. And a lot of people know who that person is, Ida B. Wells Barnett. And Fannie Lou Hamer. A lot of people never heard of Fannie Lou Hamer until they started comparing Kamala Harris to Fannie Lou Hamer during the Democratic convention this past summer, which is a falsehood. It should be blasphemy. But my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And I would say this. I had interviewed the great blues great Bobby Rush, not the politician from Chicago, who was the right hand of Fred Hampton Sr. at one point in the Black Panther Party. But the great Bobby Rush, entertainer extraordinaire, Grammy Award winning Bobby Rush. I interviewed him years ago. You know, he's a great humanitarian philanthropist. He said he went into the schools in the Delta one time, the Mississippi Delta. I think it was like junior high school kids, and it was school age children. And he said he was shocked that they did not know who Medgar Evers was. They did not know who Medgar Evers was, right? They didn't have no idea. These are school age kids. And that's why I think is interesting about critical race theory is that I never learned about Black history in school. I never learned about Black, not to the extent that people think you should learn about Black history in school. It always puzzles me that people say, why they're not teaching this in the school. School is not qualified to teach history or her story or our story. School ain't qualified for that. School is qualified to teach you certain skill sets to help you navigate this system. School is more qualified to teach you reading, writing, and arithmetic. They call them the 3 R's, even though, of course, writing starts with W and arithmetic starts with an A, right? But it's the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And they don't even teach that anymore because you got young people graduating from high school, functional illiterates. They can't write to cursive. They can't count money. And they got diplomas. And they're having children. Babies are having babies. And they're becoming useless eaters, useful idiots. You got useful idiots and useless eaters. A lot of useless eaters that they are in the process of purging right now as we speak. And this is why it's so important that we hear voices like not only mine, but people out there who are not afraid to not only speak their truth, but to live their truth. So we need to hear more from people that are not afraid to speak and live their truths. So with that said, I learned about a lot of Black history. As a matter of fact, I learned about Medgar Evers from reading my grandmother's World Book Black History Special Edition Encyclopedia. 1 volume special edition World Book Encyclopedia Black History book from the 1970s. When I was in elementary, I would go into the living room. I could not sit on the couch because they had plastic. You know how back in the day, a lot of the Black folks had plastic on their couches. My grandma had all this plastic on the couch, and the couch was reserved for special guests and relatives, not for me. So I would take that book out the bookshelf, this Black History volume, 1 volume, very big, thick book. When I was in elementary, I would sit or lay down on the floor on the carpet, and I would go through that book for hours, reading information about who we are as a people according to those people. So that's how I learned about Medgar Evers, Fort Pillow Massacre, Burt Williams, Paul Robeson, Roy Wilkins, and also I used to volunteer My mom, who was a volunteer tour guide, Dr. Callie Hurd, when the National Civil Rights Museum first opened, I used to go there on the weekends and volunteer with my mom as their sister while she was doing tour guide work. But what I would be doing, I would just go through the exhibits myself to read the panels. And also I would go into the bookstore to probably check out some of the books, even buy a book about civil rights martyrs and stuff like that. And so I taught myself about my history. And I used to love listening to the elders talk about coming of age in Mississippi and whatnot. So that's how I learned about the Emmett Till and stuff like that. It wasn't from my school. School never taught me. They always Dr. King, Rosa Parks, right? They didn't teach me about who I am. You got to do a deep dive, and your people got to know whose you are and whose you come from. If your people don't know who they are and whose they come from and who they be, you're in a world of trouble, because the foundation for your success in this world is knowledge of self. Everything else come out your ability to be confident in who you are and where you come from. So you can stand tall, be rooted, and stand tall in this world. And even, dare I say, transcend this world into true greatness and excellence, So that's very important. That's why I do what I do, why I can. And if y'all can support what I do, please feel free. Cash App, $R2C2H2. You got all this stuff down here as well. Support a brother, because I love you madly. And I am the feeder. Thank you, good sister. I appreciate it. One love. Good people, good vibrations, people praying for me. And I asked for some prayers recently for people, because I realize now that we're dealing with spiritual warfare. We're dealing with spiritual warfare because things that have manifested in my physical body, I know it comes from spiritual warfare. I ask people to pray. You got to be careful who you ask to pray for you, because you got to ask people to pray for you, but you got to be specific in what you want people to pray for you about, and they got to be willing to submit to what you requested, because people can pray for your downfall. People can pray for your setbacks. People can pray for your failure, for your termination, for your elimination, for your annihilation. People pray for all types of things, and not necessarily positive things. So when I found myself in the hospital and I was convalescing, talking with God, and I said, you know what? I'm going to ask people, I'm going to let people know. Because a lot of us don't want people to know our vulnerabilities or to be appear to be weak. And I was very vulnerable in the hospital. I'm by myself for the most part. I mean, people love me. I got a support network, but physically, mostly by myself. I had doctors, 4 or 5 doctors coming in every day, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning hour, waking me up, trying to get me to consent to cutting my toe off. When I say I got a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, the MRI was inconclusive, but they're trying to tell me based on their educated guessing, because they are the experts, cut your toe off. I'm saying you can't guarantee if I cut my toe off that will solve the problem. And I think the ancestors and universal God was riding with me. But I realized I need some real prayer warriors to stand in the gap, to be intercessors for me, ancestors as well as the living. So I reached out to people. And I'm glad people are still checking up on me. And I could feel the positive vibrations right now. That's why I'm able to go on the air and do what I'm doing this week with the Jimmie Lunsford Jamboree Festival. But it's very important to recognize that there is a world that we can see, and then there's a world you can't see, but there's a world you can access with your third eye. That's a world you can access with your third eye. And also it could be enhanced by magic glasses that the universal God provides. You can't make people see what you see once you have them universal prescription strength glasses on. My thing is not to be concerned if people agree or disagree, but to be respectful of myself as well as others people, but also to stand on what I see and not be afraid to share it with the world. Because what was repeated in my head as I was lying in the hospital bed, dealing with these doctors, dealing with a lot of stuff, Dick Gregory was on my mind. Dick Gregory is never far from me. People said, do you miss him? I said, he talked to me every day. And he probably talked to y'all. Dead is never dead. What they said, end, the end means, end is really energy never dies, right? Energy never dies. So it just transfers. But Baba D. Gregory had this amazing quote that repeated in my head for that week and the week before I got in the hospital. I started hearing his voice in my head saying, um, the free man is the man who has no fears. The free man is the man who has no fears. The free man is the man who has no fears. And what I think that means for me is not that you don't have any fears, because how can you be courageous without dealing with fear? But don't let your fear overwhelm you. Don't let fear overcome you. Don't let fear control your narrative. Don't let fear control your life. So when I was in the hospital and people talking about all these drastic things that I may have to do based on fear, I refuse for fear to rob me of my logic, of my intellect, of my patience, and of my faith. So be thy faithful servant, keep on serving, and the best is yet to come. And that's why I'm here today with all my toes doing this show. They'll try to Kunta Kinte me, man. My name is Ronald, not Toby, but they still try to Kunta Kinte me. You dig? Thank you, sis. I received that blessing. Thank you so much. And he said, Jimmie, is more than you know. I remember when Deacon Dad opened up for Hendrix and his man at Risdy School. Okay, Royale School Design, the Harpies. Mom and Dad were the sheriff's son in the show. Nice memories. That is amazing. I hope you got pictures of that. Is there any footage or pictures of that floating around? But let's get to the show. I think I warmed y'all up 30 something minutes. It's about 10, 17. Let's get to the show. Like, what are we talking about? Okay, we all know what happened to Little Durk, right? I'm not really a follower of Little Durk. I know he's very, very popular entertainer, rapper, and from Chicago, one of the kings of drill rap. He was close to King Von. Him was really ride or die. Matter of fact, King Von got killed down in Atlanta, dealing with his rival, Quando Rondo, the Georgia rapper. They got into a scuffle, their entourages, and King Von lost his life that night back in, was it November 2020? Let me see, I'm going to look it up. Take a look, it's all online. So they were trying to say that Little Durk got caught by the feds. Yeah, King Von lost his life November 6th of 2020. He was a Leo, August 9th, 94 was his birthday. His date of birth. A young guy. Gone too soon, I assume. Just 26, right? Was he just 26? But that was his guy. So they were saying that Little Durk was a part of this murder for hire, allegedly, according to the feds. The feds is watching. They always watching. He had sent some goons out to California from Chirac to take out Rondo, allegedly. And they caught up with Rondo at a gas station in West Hollywood, I believe. And they shot up his car, his vehicle. Rondo survived, but he lost his cousin. He was close to. His cousin lost his life. But people believe that they were trying to get Rondo. And so what was crazy is that the feds allegedly got all this paper trail. Like they were using things to purchase for the contract hit, utilizing the credit card from the record label, OTF, Only the Family. That's little Durk's label, whatever company, organization, OTF, Only the Family. They actually use credit cards associated with that business or organization to purchase like car rental, tickets, plane tickets, stuff like. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of them, man. I'm just gonna come in. I ain't do no deep dive like that, but they create a paper trail. They even text about payment for the hit and all that, allegedly. And so, what was interesting, Little Durk was, Grammy Award winning rapper, I believe, very, very popular. He was like becoming a philanthropist, a humanitarian. Like he was upgrading his image to being not a pariah or parasite of community, but also really a provider for community, being a benefactor for the community. Like he actually was raising not only his children, but also the children of his deceased brother. He actually lost not only King Von, he also lost his brother and his manager. He lost a lot of people close to him. And he's a multi-millionaire, very successful guy. He was recently given the key to the city of a suburb of a town outside Chicago. I believe they took it back. That was recent. They gave him the key to the city, just like how New York gave Diddy the key to the city, and about almost a year later, it was taken back from Diddy. He had to return the key to the city. Voto die. But the thing about it is interesting. Is I'm like Suge Knight in a way. I don't celebrate black men or black people going to prison, even if they deserve their karma. I don't judge people. I don't celebrate that, especially because it's like it's a thing to take out black men. I know people say, "Oh, you in the conspiracies?" It's called reality. There's a thing against black men, especially black men having resources and organizational power. And my thing about Little Durk, and I think about Chicago guys, I think about COINTELPRO, where I look at people like Tupac or Nipsey Hussle or Young Dolph. These guys would have been revolutionaries. I mean, Pac was, to me, a revolutionary, of course, but I'm saying they turned the revolutionaries into rappers. Because 60 years ago, the rappers would have been the revolutionaries. You know, King Von, a Little Durk probably could have been riding with Fred Hampton back in the day. Young Dolph, he kind of looks like Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. You know, and they had Gift of Gab, H. Rap Brown, who's in prison right now. And the Imam, he's an Imam, he's in prison, free him. I don't see any people talking about the situation with H. Rap Brown right now. Let me see, let me look up his name. I want to get his name right. He go by Jamil Abdullah Al Amin. That's Jamil Abdullah El Amin. He's 81 years young. Just had his birthday. People forgot about the sacrifices that H. Rap Brown made. I believe he's getting punished for what he did back in the 60s. We don't talk about him, which is really sad. We talk about everybody else. You know, when the media tells us to get mad about Central Park 5, we get mad about Central Park 5. But we're not mad about how they treating our dear brother Jamil Abdullah El Amin. It's a lot of other people. What I'm saying is, you even think about Nipsey Hussle. You know, he could have been like our apprentice Bunchy Carter, who was the leader of the Black Panther Party in Southern California, who got killed on UCLA campus with John Huggins, another fellow Black Panther. You know, Judge Joe Brown was there. He recruited Bunchy Carter and Geronimo Pratt. And he was there that day they tried to take out Judge Joe Brown back in January of 1969. But yeah, the rappers would have been revolutionaries back in the day. And now the rappers has been used to promote a form of Peter Pan complex, Arrested Development, baby boyism, also to bring in a effeminate agenda, rainbow Trojan horses, right? This is what hip hop has become, has been exposed further by the exposure of the one Sean Combs, Diddy, Diddy, Diddy. Diddy do it, Diddy, 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 Diddy did it. Did Diddy did it? Did Diddy do it? That type of stuff, right? So now we're seeing, like Cat Williams said, that 2024 will be the year of exposure, and the idols will crumble, and everything will start falling down. It's not the end of the world. It's like a paradigm shift is happening, where the truth don't need to be validated by anybody's ignorance. The truth stand alone. Truth is not about groupthink. It is what it is. So that Little Durk thing is interesting because like he's Chicago guy, you know, Chicago dude, and I think he gave mayor, the current mayor of Chicago, I think he gave him some money. Let me see. I'm looking it up now. And Chicago Red movement. Shout out to the Chicago Red movement that turned Chicago red. Black folks fed up. Yeah. Mayor Brandon Johnson, this is the mayor of Chicago now, received a $150,000 campaign contribution from accused rapper Lil Durk. And people say he should put the rapper's $150,000 campaign donation to better use helping young people. So he gave the mayor of Chicago $150,000 as a campaign contribution. So Lil Durk was making moves. He was trying to legitimize himself. See, the thing about it is, I wish he would have learned from the people that came before him, the forefathers of it. You know, Larry Hoover, Jeff Fort. And Lil Durk was embracing Islam. He came into the Islamic faith. From my understanding, this is my short. I don't listen to Lil Durk like that, and I'm just looking at it. I'm saying, man, you didn't learn from the people that came before you, man. It's like kind of like the OGs were telling a young thug, man, come on, man, don't mess up this opportunity for yourself. You look at where Young Thug is at right now, and they're gonna throw that trial out. It's gonna be a mistrial. I'm glad he didn't plead his life away. It was like a land grab, wealth grab. They're trying to take the money that YSL had in his coffers, his legitimate, I guess, LLC. But I look at Lil Durk. He should have studied the life of Jeff Fort, who was the charismatic leader of the Black Pea Stone Nation, the Black Pea Stone Rangers back in the day, who became the L. Ruckins, a major Chicago street organization that helped get Richard Nixon into the White House back in 1968. It was their organization, just like you think about what's going on with the Chicago Red movement. It was a black dude from Mississippi who was functionally illiterate, Jeff Fort, who was a political powerhouse that helped Richard Nixon secure his victory by securing Chicago for Nixon. He was people were so impressed by what Jeff Fort did that people invited him to Nixon's inauguration. Some key players, political players, invited Jeff Fort to come to D.C. to celebrate Richard Nixon's inauguration. I believe sent some lieutenants in his place. But he messed up when he started, getting involved. He got set up by the government. I think he was dealing with Gaddafi, doing some stuff. He got caught up. And I believe Jeff Fort is in some Supermax somewhere in the country. 23-hour lockdown, something like that. Larry Hoover the same way. Well, Larry Hoover started using his growth and development organization, the GDs, to politicize the black residents of Chicago. Just like Fred Hampton tried to politicize or did politicize black people. Not only just black people, but Fred Hampton called the street gangs tribes. And he called working with different street gangs, not just black gangs, but not just Latino, not just white. He called them the Rainbow Coalition. Fred Hampton called his work with street gangs and street organizations, the tribes in Chicago, the Rainbow Coalition. We need to get our rainbow back. And Jesse Jackson took that concept, the Rainbow Coalition, but it came from Fred Hampton Sr., Chairman Fred of the Black Panther Party. And his concept was to bring all the different races and street organizations together to become a powerful political bloc, voting bloc. And Larry Hoover basically took it up where Fred Hampton left off in a way. They killed Fred Hampton, the government did, in his sleep at the age of 21, December 4th. That was Thursday, December 4th, 1969. 4 something in the morning, the government assassinated a 21-year-old kid named Fred Hampton Sr. and 22-year-old defense captain Mark Clark while they were sleeping in their apartment, minding their black business. That's what they do here. And Lil Durk should have learned, man. I'm sure there's some OGs, because I believe his daddy came home because of Trump. Trump got his daddy home. I'm not mistaken. I heard that somewhere. I don't know. I don't really feel like looking it up right now. I'm gonna let y'all look it up. Y'all can tell me I'm wrong or right, whatever. But what that said, it seemed like I can't judge a man. It's like he was trying to make a change for the better. It could be just for show. It could be like he doing what the white folks would do. You think about Chicago. Chicago has always been a gangster town. The city with big shoulders. I love Chicago. It's a gangster town. It doesn't run away from its past. It's like Mayor Daley was a gangster mayor. You know, Larry Hoover and Jeff Fort could have made great mayors for Chicago. They were gangsters, and they had very sophisticated street organizations. They had codes and bylaws and ways they move. I'm not glorifying that, but that's the nature of the beast we live in. America is a gangster nation. Always have been. You know, it's a nation founded by felons and all types of sociopaths. Y'all talking about Trump. Trump is part of American tradition. You know, felons, we celebrate felons on 4th of July. These were felons that founded this country. You know, basically, Europe got rid of all the good ones. They either they sent them to the New World over in Western Hemisphere, or they sent them to Australia. Australia was really a prison colony, and that's another story for another day. But what I'm saying is that it's interesting when black people try to do what white people do to legitimize their wealth. We're labeled as criminals. Game over. It's like what Chris Rock said in one of his stand-up specials years ago. If cigarettes were made by a black family with who had jerk curls and who with gold teeth and live in Mississippi, it'd be illegal as an MFer to possess a cigarette. You know, Coca-Cola used to put cocaine in their Coca-Cola. The biggest drug dealers came from America's elite families, like Franklin Roosevelt's maternal grandfather, Warren Delano Jr., was one of the biggest drug dealers in American history. He used to sell opium to the Chinese. That's Franklin Roosevelt grandfather. That's how he made the family fortune. And I could think about, like, you know, Joe Kennedy. You got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Shout out to Make America Healthy Again. United with Trump. That's the coalition of the willing. You got Trump. You got Robert Kennedy Jr. You got Tulsi Gabbard. You got Elon Musk. These are all former Democrats. Democrats really shot themselves in the foot. They once upon a time had Trump. They had Tulsi Gabbard. They had Elon Musk. They had Robert Kennedy Jr. But Robert Kennedy Jr.'s grandfather allegedly made his money through some nefarious schemes. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr. said that his grandfather being a bootlegger was over exaggerated because he got into the liquor distribution business allegedly towards the end of prohibition. When it was about to end, him and a business partner had the liquor lined up at the Canadian border to sell, distribute in America. But, you know, who knows? He wasn't there. But I do know that his grandfather made a lot of the family fortune through the Nancy Pelosi way, allegedly. That is insider trading on the stock market. And when the FDR was trying to regulate things during the Great Depression, he appointed Joe Kennedy Sr. as the first chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission. And some of his supporters questioned that move. They said, you know, why would you appoint Joe Kennedy? He has a reputation for being a cheater, being an inside trader. You know, he manipulated the markets. He made a killing out the 29 stock market crash. And FDR allegedly told his supporters and his minions, it takes a crook to catch a crook. It takes a crook to catch a crook. And then allegedly Joe Kennedy once said, it's not a crime unless you get caught. It's not a crime unless you get caught. That's the American way. So what I'm saying is both sides cheat, right? Both sides. The game is rigged. Donald Trump told us that. What they said is, like, you know, black people, like little Durk is not allowed to become like a Joe Kennedy. He's not allowed to become a patriarch. I'm not singing the blues for little Durk, but there are different rules for black folk when it comes to this American game. It is what it is. And like, just like how you got illegal immigrants or undocumented people, whatever you want to call it, like, people with no credit history, no line of credit, they're able to own homes in the Chicago area within 2 years of moving there. Got no credit history. A lot of you black folks, your people been here since the 1600s. You still can't get that new car, that new house, even though your people been here for generations. I got relatives I can name that fought in the Civil War, even whites relatives that were involved in the American Revolutionary War. And there's certain things I can't get. And I'm from here, American for generations. Families fought in almost all the major wars. It still can't get the help that we should get. And I love this country. And that's why it is what it is with me. I ain't going nowhere. It's 10 toes down. I love this country. But with that said, if you notice what's going on, even with Diddy, what I think is interesting, and I know I'm all over the place because I said with Diddy and Dolph, let's talk about Diddy a little bit. That's one thing I think people ain't talking about enough. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's one thing we need to do. The Diddy thing, put it in perspective. Diddy had people that he answered to. Kanye said he was a Fed. Diddy was a Fed. Okay, Diddy might have been a Fed, right? Or he is a Fed. I mean, he could be the Epstein. He was getting blackmail information, catching people in very compromising acts for future use, for extortion, for power play. J. Edgar Hoover did the same thing. Used to use blackmail on people, and then people said the mafia said they had blackmail photos of J. Edgar Hoover being a cross-dresser, so they was able to keep him in check where he would look the other way when it came to the mob for decades. Allegedly, they had photos of him as a cross-dresser, and then Hoover had information on people, very powerful, important, influential people. They even tried to get Dr. King to unalive himself based on allegedly they caught him being an adulterer and all that stuff. But luckily, thank God he didn't unalive himself, as y'all say on White Tea Plantation. Thank you. But that's the name of the game. Epstein, blackmail. Allen, blackmail. Hugh Hefner, maybe, probably, sure enough. I mean, Playboy Mansion, all that, the freaky off stuff they were doing. Diddy did not invent the freak off. The Greeks and the Romans were freaking off long before there was a Diddy. That was, a while ago. The Romans and the Greeks were freaking off, and Hugh Hefner was a freak off mansion. Now, come on now, a lot of powerful, influential people, like even Dr. Bill Cosby met some of his accusers at Playboy Mansion. So that lets you know what time it is. And it's a double standard. But with Diddy, evidently he got a lot of powerful information on some influential celebrities, because all of a sudden all these celebrities that probably be neutral like Switzerland, like Usher Raymond, is telling folks to vote for Kamala. You had Beyonce come out last week, vote for Kamala. And the Democratic Party is a party of narcissists, it seems, because they be gaslighting the hell out of people. Because wasn't it the Democratic National Convention that they said Beyonce was going to perform? And there a lot of people tune in not for Kamala, but for Beyonce, and she did not perform. And Kamala did her speech about growing up middle class that she's did for the umpteenth 20,000 trillion time. And then, like, even last week in Houston, the hometown of Bay, they was gaslighting people at like, oh, Beyonce's gonna perform tonight, and she did like under a 1 minute endorsement speech for Kamala, I believe, and folks started booing because they don't care about no Kamala. It's like, we want to see Meg twerk, we want to see Beyonce bounce and singing. Beyonce bounce. We want to see that. We don't want to see or hear from Kamala. We don't want to hear the cackle. Kamala is more like Hillary Clinton 2.0 than Obama 2.0, and that's another story altogether, because we're not supposed to be talking about that. But evidently, these celebrities are endorsing Kamala because maybe, allegedly, perhaps, she's also on the Diddy freak off list. Allegedly, perhaps he is the AKA from Howard, and Diddy. He went to Howard University. He didn't graduate, I believe, but they gave him an honorary degree. But he was known for throwing parties, Howard's homecoming, and all that stuff. So I'm sure Kamala got a stroll on and a couple of Diddy parties, and some other powerful, influential political people. Just had the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, whatever preppy wear. He got in trouble. He was associate of Jeffrey Epstein. Ashton Kutcher Ashton Kutcher. He started off with Abercrombie and Fitch. And I don't know how you pronounce it, whatever. And also, he got a connection with Diddy as well too. And he talking about allegedly moving to Europe and spending more time over there instead of in the States. And you got, everybody, in order for you to have power in the system, they got to have skeletons. They got to know the skeletons in your closet. Not only do they have to know the skeletons in your closet, they got to help you put the skeletons in your closet so they can account for every bone that they put in their closet so you won't, get out of line. And that's how you have people that you can control easily. There's in so-called power. If you got some stuff hanging over their head, they could drop at any moment. That's how you make sure you keep a system of checks and balances. And that what makes Trump so dangerous, because Trump is not that easy to control. He's an anti-establishment type of dude. His MAGA movement is not about Republicans or Democrats. It's a populist movement. It's a people's movement. It will be studied for generations to come. But let's get back to the topic at hand. One person that they never talk about as it relates to Diddy, but I think it's interesting, because people already talk about Jeffrey Epstein, right? They'll talk about Clive Davis, right? That's one person they never talk about, really. And I'm going to bring them up because Netflix have a way of bringing people back to life, infamy, whatever. I'm going to bring up this guy. I'm going to show him on the screen. Let me see if I can find. We all be in it. I know I'll be all over the place, but I'm impressed with people be able to do what they do. This era is different, man. I'm a pioneer from I started podcasting and all this stuff years back. I'm trying to make sure. Okay, yeah, because the thing blinking in and out. I'm trying to make sure I got everything tacked down. So let me show this. The Diddy thing I think is interesting. Okay, my screen trying to go out. Devil's a lie, devil's a lie, devil's a lie. Stay. I don't know if y'all know who that is. That's Lou Pearlman. That guy right here. Nobody mentioned him. People talk about everything else, the Diddy, but he never comes in this conversation. People talk about even Sir Lucian Grange over Universal. They talk about Clive Davis, Diddy's mentor. If you know what the original definition of mentor is, Mos Def was Diddy's mentor. He groomed Diddy allegedly, taught him allegedly everything he know about what he has done to get where he's at. He said, "You take this, I'm gonna take that, take that, take that." Clive said, "Take this," and Diddy said, "Take that, take that, take that, take." See how it works? Take that, take that, take that. But that's Lou Pearlman. This is the guy who discovered some of the top boy bands from the late 90s and early 2000s. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. He is the godfather, the father of the boy band movement back in the late 90s, 2000s. He went to prison. He got caught up. Basically, his business was a big giant Ponzi scheme. We had people that were investors, but they were never really getting their investments. He was using their investments almost like a Bernie Madoff for the entertainment world. And this man started off making blips. Call them blips, them air vehicle blips. I call them blimps, right? He actually was in business with a business person from Germany who was a former Nazi. The man actually this is a Jewish guy from New York who dealt with a Nazi as one of his business partners. They're making blips. I call them blimps, right? Let me see. Making sure. Okay, let me read a little bit about him. Louis J. Pearlman, sunrise June 19th, 1954. Sunset August 19th, 2016. That's interesting. He died August 19th, a year before Baba D. Gregory, who also died August 19th, but his was 2017. And Lou died August 19, 2016, was an American music manager and scam artist. He was the person behind many successful 90s boy bands having formed and funded the Black Backstreet Boys. After their massive success, he then developed NSYNC. In 2006, he was accused of running one of the largest and longest running Ponzi schemes in United States history, leaving more than $300 million in debts. Okay, leaving more than 300 million in debts. After attempting to evade capture, Pearlman was apprehended in Bali, Indonesia in June 2007. He pled guilty to conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during bankruptcy proceedings. In 2008, Pearlman was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. He died in federal custody in 2016. So this dude was apprehended in Bali. Who's in Bali right now? Russell Simmons, the founder of Def Jam, the co-founder of Def Jam Records, right? One of Diddy's mentors, right? He's in Bali. So they caught him in Bali and took him back to the States. And he died in federal custody. I'm going to tell you how he died, what I think is interesting. Because I ain't hear one podcast, anybody on social media talk about Lou Pearlman when they talking about all this Diddy talking and trying to connect them to Epstein and Clive and all these people. Nobody ever talk about Lou Pearlman, who was a contemporary of Diddy. It was actually Diddy that advised the lead singer of NSYNC, Justin Timberlake, to leave the group and go solo. Diddy did that because he, like I said, he's connected to Lou Pearlman. They are associates. Let me read a little bit more about Lou Pearlman, get an understanding, and I'm gonna close it very soon. But I just want to get that. Watch people start talking about Lou Pearlman in their shows now, because Netflix did a fascinating limited docu-series about Lou Pearlman's life and his involvement in boy bands and the scam he was running. One of his best childhood friends, who was a part of his organization, he unalived himself after finding out how Lou Pearlman was using him, because he told his mom to invest her life savings into Lou's business organization, thinking that they'll get a return on their investment. And he found out that he misled a whole bunch of people, and this guy ended up taking himself out before Lou Pearlman's law troubles began. You know, like him taking himself out the equation. One of his good friends was basically an omen of things to come for Lou Pearlman. And let me talk a little bit about Lou Pearlman. I think it's interesting, and show you why he should be mentioned with the Diddy situation. So, okay, Lou Pearlman was born and raised in Queens, New York, the only child of Jewish parents. Hy Pearlman, who ran a dry cleaning business, and Renee Pearlman, a school lunchroom aide. He was a first cousin of the musician Art Garfunkel of Simon and Garfunkel. That's his first cousin. Okay. Pearlman's home in Mitchell Gardens Apartments was located across from Flushing Airport, where he and childhood friend Alan Gross would watch blimps take off and land. According to his autobiography, Bands, Brands, and Billions, it was during this period that he used his position on his school newspaper to earn credentials, and get his first ride in a blimp. This is disputed by Gross, who claims he was the school reporter and allowed Pearlman to tag along. Garfunkel's fame and wealth helped inspire Pearlman's own interest in the music business. As a teenager, he managed a band, but when success in music proved elusive, he turned his attention to aviation. During his first year as a student at Queens College, Pearlman wrote a business plan for a class project based on the idea of a helicopter taxi service in New York City. By the late 1970s, he had launched the business based on his business plan, starting with one helicopter. He persuaded German businessman Theodore Wollenkemper, I don't know how, Wollenkemper, to train him on blimps, and subsequently spent some time at his mentor's facilities in West Germany, learning about the airships. Okay, see, that's interesting. A Jewish guy working with a known, I guess, former Nazi This guy was a Nazi. He was in Hitler's army back in the day, but he's partnered with a Jewish guy from New York in the blimp business, right? Returning to the U.S., Pearlman formed Airship Enterprises Limited, which leased a blimp to Jordak before actually owning one. He used the funds from Jordak to construct a blimp, which promptly crashed. The two parties sued each other, and 7 years later, Pearlman was awarded $2.5 million in damages. On the advice of a friend, Pearlman started a new company, Airship International, taking it public to raise the $3 million he needed to purchase a blimp, falsely claiming that he had a partnership with Kemper. Okay, so they didn't have. I don't know. It's weird. He leased the blimp to McDonald's for advertising. Pearlman then relocated Airship International to Orlando, Florida in July '91, where he signed MetLife and SeaWorld as clients for his blimps. Interesting. Airship International suffered when one of its clients left and 3 of the aircraft crashed. The company's stock, which had once been pumped up to $6 a share, dropped to a price of 3 cents a share, and the company was shut down. After he took the company public in '85, Pearlman became personally and professionally close to Jerome Rosen, a partner at small cap trading firm Norbay Securities, based in Bayside, Queens, and frequently in trouble with regulators. Norbay actively traded Airship stock. This sent Airship stock price consistently higher, enabling Pearlman to sell hundreds of thousands of shares and warrants at ever higher prices. However, Airship was reporting little revenue, cash flow, or net income. In return for keeping his penny stock liquid, Pearlman allegedly paid Rosen handsome commissions, according to a mutual friend, that reached into the tens of thousands of dollars. So this man was a con artist, a scammer, a grifter, and he's from Queens. Like Donald Trump is more than Queens, right? He's from Queens. A lot of great rappers are from Queens, and Run DMC, LL Cool J, hell, Nicki Minaj, Nas, Mobb Deep, the list goes on. But anyway, it's interesting. Pearlman became fascinated with the success of New Kids on the Block, who had made hundreds of millions of dollars in record, tour, and merchandise sales. He started Transcontinental Records with the intent of mimicking their boy band business model. The record label's first band, the Backstreet Boys, consisted of 5 unknown performers selected by Pearlman in a $3 million talent search. Okay, I mean, y'all can look up Lou Pearlman, but look at the limited docuseries on Netflix. They actually did an AI reconstruction of Lou Pearlman. Like they did an AI of Lou Pearlman talking, using passages from his book. They reconstructed Lou Pearlman to talk like he was Lou Pearlman, which kind of creepy and interesting that they got, they're using AI, the deep fake Lou Pearlman, whatever. That was not actual footage of the man. That was like an AI constructed image of him talking about his life story based on his book that he wrote, right? That's on the Netflix. Y'all can check it out. Let me see. It said management duties were assigned to a former New Kids on the Block manager, Johnny Wright, and his wife, Donna. The Backstreet Boys became the best-selling boy band of all time, with record sales of 130 million, hitting gold, platinum, and diamond in 45 countries. Pearlman and the Wrights were then introduced to NSYNC, which was formed by Chris Kirkpatrick. Pearlman and the Wrights funded and managed NSYNC in a very similar fashion, selling over 70 million records globally. I mean, my sister used to love the Backstreet Boys. So they the best-selling boy band of all time. With these 2 major successes under his belt, Pearlman had become a music mogul. Other boy bands managed by Pearlman were O-Town, created during the ABC MTV reality television series, making the band, LFO, Take 5, Natural, Marshall Dillon, co-created with country music artist Kenny Rogers, and US 5, as well as the girl group Solid Harmony, Innocence, co-managed with Lynn Harrellis, the mother of NSYNC band member Justin Timberlake. Other artists on the Transcontinental label included Aaron Carter, that was the brother of Nick Carter, who passed away not that long ago, unfortunately. Jordan Knight, that's Jordan Knight of the Backstreet Boys. Not about me, New Kids on the Block. My bad. Please don't hurt me. New Kids on the Block. Right. That's Jordan Knight. Smiles and Soft Star and C Note. Pearlman also owned the Church Street Station Entertainment Complex in Orlando, including a recording studio he called Transcontinental Studios and a dance studio near Disney World named O-Town. In 2002, Pearlman and Wes Smith co-wrote Bands, Brands, and Billions. My top 10 rules for making any business go platinum. Now, I ain't gonna get to all into this, but some of the band people end up suing him. The bands he helped created, they end up suing because they found out he was cheating them like TLC, especially the Backstreet Boys, right? They're getting cheated out of the money. Members of the Backstreet Boys were the first to file a lawsuit against Pearlman, feeling that their contract under which Pearlman collected as both manager and producer was unfair because Pearlman was also paid as a sixth member of the Backstreet Boys, i.e. 1/6 of the band's own income. The band's dissatisfaction began when member Brian Littrell hired a lawyer to determine why the group had received only $300,000 for all of their work, while Pearlman and his record label had made millions. Fellow boy band NSYNC was having similar issues with Pearlman, and his members soon followed suit. At the age of 14, Aaron Carter filed a lawsuit in 2002 that accused Pearlman and Transcontinental of cheating him out of hundreds of thousands of dollars and of racketeering in a deliberate pattern of criminal activity. This suit was later settled out of court. So this is deep. So Backstreet Boys, the best selling boy band of all time, they only got $300,000. But they were successful in their lawsuit. Look at that documentary on Netflix. I just trying to lay this out, right? Nobody talks about Lou Pearlman and all this Diddy stuff, and everybody talking about this and that. Nobody talking about the scandal with that was Lou Pearlman and how he cheated all these people out of their money. Even investors were cheated out the money. Let's see. Said Ponzi scheme. In 2006, investigators discovered Pearlman had perpetuated what was then thought to be the longest running Ponzi scheme in American history and had defrauded investors out of more than $1 billion, out of which $300 million is still missing. There's still $300 million unaccounted for. And Lou Pearlman is allegedly dead. I'm going to talk about that, then we'll move on. For more than 20 years, Pearlman had enticed individuals and banks to invest in Transcontinental Airlines Incorporated, Transcon Rackets, and both companies' parents, Transcontinental International Incorporated. All three companies existed only on paper, at least until Lou Pearlman's boy bands took off, and Transcon Rackets was profiting from signed acts. After the success of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, he turned the groups and their fame into the engine to further expand his Ponzi scheme. Pearlman used falsified Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, AIG, and Lloyd's of London documents to win investors' confidence in his program titled Employee Investment Savings Account, and he used fake financial statements created by the fictitious accounting firm of Cohen and Siegel to secure bank loans. Now, this was interesting. He said, fictitious accounting firm, Cohen and Siegel to secure bank loans. Now, Lou Pearlman was a Jewish guy from New York, right? If you know anything about organized crime history, you know the name Cohen, the surname Cohen, the surname Siegel. Cohen was Mickey Cohen. I think that was the inspiration for naming this fake accounting firm. Cohen was Mickey Cohen, the L.A. Jewish mob boss, very powerful Jewish mob boss out in L.A. Back in the golden era of Hollywood. And Siegel, of course, was Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, the founder of modern Las Vegas, one of the hitters for Murder Inc., one of the co-founders of the Commission, close friends for Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano. So this is where his mind ain't nothing but a gangster party. So these names, so they call them Cohen and Siegel. These are two tough Jews, two murderous Jews right here. Murder Inc., the real Murder Inc. But anyway, in February 2007, Florida regulators announced that Pearlman's Transcontinental Savings Program was indeed a massive fraud, and the state took possession of the company. Most of the at least $95 million which had been collected from investors was gone. Orange County Circuit Judge Renee Roach ordered Pearlman and two of his associates, Robert Fischetti and Michael Crudell, to bring back to the United States any assets taken abroad which was derived from illegal transactions. Following a flight from officials, Pearlman had been seen in Orlando in late January 2007 and in early February in Germany, including an appearance on German television on February the 1st. Reportedly, he was seen in Russia, Belarus, Israel, Spain, Panama, and Brazil. In early February, an attorney in Florida received a letter from Pearlman sent from Bali. Pearlman was arrested in Indonesia on June 14, 2007, after being spotted by a tourist couple from Germany. He was living in a tourist hotel in Nusa Dua in Bali. Pearlman was indicted by the federal grand jury on June 27, 2007. Specifically, he was charged with conspiracy, money laundering, and filing false bankruptcy. Okay. I said on May 21st, 2008, Sharp sentenced as federal judge G. Kendall Sharp of the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida sentenced Pearlman to 25 years in prison on charges of conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during a bankruptcy proceeding. Pearlman could produce his prison time by 1 month for every $1 million he helped a bankruptcy trustee recover. He also ordered individual investors to be paid before institutions in distributing any eventual assets. Mm-mm. I mean, there's a lot to it, man. Y'all need to look up Lou Pearlman and check out that on Netflix thing. In a 2009 interview with Howard Stern, Richard Cronin, former lead singer LFO, said that he had only received a fraction of the money owed to him from record sales. Cronin also claimed that Pearlman had wanted to bang everyone and had attempted to seduce him multiple times. Cronin was of age. Fellow LFO band member Brad Fischetti, however, continued to refer to Pearlman as a friend and expressed sadness at the news of his arrest, imprisonment, and death. Nick Carter, when asked if the claim was true, suggested that bitterness might be a motivating factor for the claim. In an interview conducted by Orlando Sentinel, former NSYNC member Lance Bass, when asked about the claim, stated that Pearlman had never behaved inappropriately with them. See how they do? They try to attack his character because Pearlman was not known to be in a relationship. Like, he had a woman, some people would call a beard, this woman that he would date, quote unquote. And, he took gave it a good life and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know the man personally. I didn't know him. But these accusations came out in the docuseries on Netflix, and majority of people said they didn't see him being sexually inappropriate with anybody that they know of. That he wasn't, harassing or doing things. He wasn't doing no Diddy stuff supposedly, but it's like he wasn't married. He had this girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe he was asexual. I don't know. Anyway, let me talk about this. I'm gonna wrap it up because this is weird. In 2008, Pearlman began his prison sentence with a projected release date of March 24th, 2029. So in 2008, Pearlman began his prison sentence with a projected release date of March 24th, 2029. However, he suffered a stroke in 2010 while incarcerated. He was diagnosed with an infection of a heart valve. Pearlman had surgery to replace a heart valve a few weeks before his death. The prison took him to a hospital where he was scheduled for another surgery. Pearlman ultimately died while still in custody at the Federal Correctional Institute in Miami, Florida on August 19, 2016. He was buried 10 days later on August 29, 2016 in his family's burial area. He was 62 years old. Pearlman was featured in the third season of American Greed in an episode called Boy Band Mogul in 2009. The documentary, The Boy Band Con, the Lou Pearlman story, produced by Lance Bass, member of Pearlman's boy band NSYNC, premiered at the South by Southwest on March 13th, 2019. It was released on YouTube Premium in April of 2019. On December 13th, 2019, Pearlman was the subject of an episode of ABC's 2020 titled The Hitman from Pop to Prison. And on July 24th, 2024, Pearlman's story was featured on Netflix documentary series Dirty Pop, the boy band scam. That was the one I saw. So with that said, Lou Pearlman, folks. And my thing is this: did he really? Is it possible he could have faked his death? I mean, like that's a weird way to die. You know, he getting a heart valve fixed or replaced, and next thing you know, he's dead. And what? That was 2016. We're in 2024. There's $300 million still not accounted for, according to what I read. There's $300 million outstanding out there in the world somewhere that's unclaimed allegedly. And this dude died the way he died allegedly, and he's buried in his family plot allegedly. What did he know? Is he the man that knew too much? But it's like a Diddy situation. A lot of times these things don't have a happy ending. It's like Lou Pearlman did have his day in court. He did get sentenced, and he had his issues in prison. He had some heart issues, went to the hospital for surgery, died at the hospital allegedly, and here we are. $300 million still missing, but it's kind of like an Epstein thing, right? Or even a Diddy thing. But I have not heard Lou Pearlman mentioned by anybody. And I just thought that was fascinating. Because even like what's interesting, Vince McMahon, you know, Netflix did a docuseries on Vince McMahon, the visionary behind what we call the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. And when I was growing up, it was known as the WWF, World Wrestling Federation. But Vince McMahon had to step down from the WWE. He's facing allegations of sexual assault, sex trafficking. He's being investigated by the federal government right now. The feds are watching him. He's being investigated by the federal government as well. And I don't hear the media talking about that too much. But they got him before they got Diddy. They got Vince before they got Diddy this year, But that's interesting with Lou Pearlman. I just want to bring that up. That is always trying to in this world, they want to make every problem, they want to put a black man face on it. It seems like that. And I'm looking in America that every unique social situational issue, they want to attach a black man's face to it. Like Eddie Griffin, the comedian. He said they're gonna put an asterisk by every great black man's name, right? You just can't die a great person. They're gonna put an asterisk. Yeah, he was great at this, but he was a horrible this and that. When he did this, and he was an addict. Yeah, he was great at that, but he was an addict. He was a deadbeat dad and stuff like that. All types of stuff they put about people. But people are people. We all are just people having a human experience, right? We're God having a human experience, and it is what it is. Life gonna keep on lifing. But I just want to throw Lou Pearlman out there because I have not heard anybody talk about Lou Pearlman and the scandal with the boy bands. You had the biggest selling boy band of all time getting done like TLC was done back in the day. How can you sell all those records and not get just $300,000? You sold millions and millions of records worldwide. The biggest boy band of all time, and you're not even getting $1 million. You're getting 300,000 to split among you. Allegedly, they did settle out of court. I believe they got some money, but like Aaron Carter, Nick Carter, little brother, he passed away. He had a drug issue supposedly, and I don't know. Like when I look at it now, would I want to put my kid in those situations? Would I want my child to be a child star? If I had a child, would I want them to be going to Nickelodeon or to Disney or be in the music biz? You look at how the people turn out, and shout out to Justin Bieber. People talking things they talk, but it's like he's a survivor. Went through a lot of stuff. I mean, like I think about Shirley Temple. Look at the old Shirley Temple movies and shorts. That stuff that people break it down on YouTube about Shirley Temple. When you look at it from a grown person's eyes, like when you understand life and been through some stuff, it's disturbing to watch those Shirley Temple films, them short films. A lot of child exploitation, a lot of sexual pervertedness are in those films. And just Google it up, and it really like, man, they really like, you had her in a room full of men with short dresses, and they touching her certain ways and stuff like that. They're dancing on. It's just weird looking at it in 2024 how they were treating Shirley Temple, and then Shirley Temple tells a story. You know, people know her and her mom was in the room for an executive. She was in the room for another executive. The executive was trying to, do some funny business with Shirley Temple, and she couldn't help but laugh at his attempts to do some funny business with her. But her mom was not so lucky. I think Shirley told her mom about how the guy was acting, and I think her mom actually submitted to the other executives' wishes against her will, I guess. But it's disturbing when you start looking at this stuff. When you look at all these child actors and actresses and how they turned out, how they trying to warn us. You got that Corey Haim. That's the one, the two Corys, right? They've been trying to tell you. And it was interesting when people talk about Michael Jackson. And a lot of them child stars love Michael Jackson, like Cully McCulkin. Was it Cully McCulkin? Collie McCulkin. What's his name? McCulkin. Corey Feldman, yeah. Shout out to him. Corey Haim, this one that passed away, right? The two Corys. I think he logged off of that Corey Feldman. But like Macaulay Culkin, right? Is it Macaulay Culkin? They were real close to Michael Jackson. Somebody made an interesting point about why they were drawn to Michael Jackson, like Corey Feldman's and Macaulay Culkins, and even Webster. Is because maybe they saw Michael Jackson Neverland Ranch as a safe space from all that, what they had to endure in the Hollywood, because Michael Jackson was the child star. I'm sure he saw some interesting things growing up. Jackson 5 coming up as a member of the Jackson 5. Shout out to Tito. May he rest in peace, playing with his brother in heaven. I'm sure they saw some things growing up, hanging around Motown, Diana Ross. I'm just saying. So Mike Jackson probably could relate. And as interested that Trump came to the defense of Michael Jackson during his last trial back in 2005. Like, Trump was actually on Larry King Live. And I think Larry King testified as a character witness for Michael Jackson. And Dick Gregory at that time saved Michael Jackson's life because Michael Jackson was afraid to drink or eat anything during that trial. He thought they were trying to kill him. And he was correct. They were trying to kill him. So Dick took him somewhere to get hydrated. And Donald Trump is interesting because I'm just tired of the Central Park 5. I hate that the Central Park 5 happened. But if you look at the real history behind the Central Park 5, it was not Donald Trump's fault. And it is what it is. And I'm not going to try to prove that to anybody. But I would say this about Donald Trump. Donald Trump defended Michael Jackson on Larry King Live doing all that craziness going on with the second accusation that was made against Michael Jackson. It's like every time they try to make a move, when Michael Jackson try to make a big move, the accusations will come up. Like, Michael Jackson was trying to buy Marvel. Stan Lee confirmed that Michael Jackson was interested in buying the Marvel universe. Could you imagine if Michael Jackson owned the Marvel universe and that if he was in control of Marvel Studios, and then he also had control of the Sony ATV catalog, what type of epic and classic movies could have been made? He would control half the Sony ATV catalog. That's Elvis and Beatles and everybody, just about. And he would have owned Marvel Studios or Marvel Comics. And he said that Spielberg and them stole their logo for their entertainment company from him, from his logo. And I believe it. And I remember reading something like Michael Jackson, approached Steven Spielberg. Allegedly, I think it was Steven Spielberg. Michael Jackson wanted to make this epic movie about Africa. He wanted to make this epic, love movie tribute to Africa. And I think Steven Spielberg left him out the room or something. He didn't, he dismissive. He was dismissive of Michael Jackson's idea to make this epic movie about Africa. And here's a man who's award-winning, brilliant filmmaker. All these blockbusters he made. But if you probably ask him today, what was his most important movie he ever made? With the not so big budget, probably been Schindler's List. Schindler's List. Schindler's List, starring Liam Neeson. Neeson as lead. Schindler's List, about the Holocaust and all that. He did that movie in black and white. He made sure that you overstood, understood, understood his people's story. He remembered his relatives talking about surviving the Holocaust, how it was. That stayed with him from his childhood, and he took his tender love and care into making that movie what it was, an award-winning movie about his people's story, right? So that's probably the movie he loved the most out of all the great movies he made. Probably Schindler's List has a special place in his heart. And I'm just taking an educated guess. I don't know. I don't know Spielberg, but Michael Jackson, could probably over-identify with the young people that flocked to him, the child stars. He probably saw a lot of himself in their pain and all that stuff, and how they were being exploited or were exploited. So it makes sense that Neverland was a safe space for those kids. And Donald Trump, getting back to Donald Trump, he defended Michael Jackson on live television. He basically said Michael Jackson's not a child predator. He's not that. He said he played with my sons. He said he came to Trump Tower. He would come to Trump Tower and play with my sons. And it was like an innocence. It was childlike. He was not what they were trying to paint him out to be. This is Donald Trump, the one y'all said hate black people. The one that stood up for Mike Tyson on David Letterman's show. When David Letterman was trying to throw Mike Tyson under the bus after he got convicted in Indiana, Donald Trump said he ain't gonna let you do that. I ain't gonna let you do that to my friend. He said, I don't believe what happened to Mike. Mike was set up. You can look at it for yourself. I'm just not verbatim saying what he said, but he basically said that he felt Mike Tyson was set up and that he should be freed to pay his debt to society using his talent. Like he should donate a certain percentage of his boxing winnings to different organizations that deal with, sexual assault or domestic violence or whatever. He said Mike Tyson should be able to make a living. He don't feel like Mike Tyson got a fair deal. This is Donald Trump saying this. This is the Donald Trump that provided fair housing for the Black Panther Party when they were looking for a place to stay in New York City back in the 70s. This story has been confirmed by David Hilliard, one of the co-founding members of the Black Panther Party. He said this in his old age. He was not senile. His family was trying to discredit him, saying that he was senile. His grandson, I think, is on on social media saying my grandfather don't know what he's talking about. And Dave Hiller said, yes, I do. I double down. And then he said, ask so-and-so about what Donald Trump did for us. Donald Trump is good for black people. He said something like Donald Trump is good for black people. And Donald Trump did a lot. I mean, I don't think nobody's on more rap songs than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is from Queens. Donald Trump he got a mouthpiece. Donald Trump got swagger. Donald Trump, I grew up with Donald Trump. That's who he is. He always been Donald Trump. This chameleon person y'all talk about, y'all think this is just the greatest thing since Twitter or or TikTok. I don't know who she is. Does she know who she is? It's like a Manchurian candidate to me, but Donald Trump is Trump. But Trump stood up for Michael Jackson. He stood up for Mike Tyson. He helped Nelson Mandela out. He helped the Black Panther Party. He helped finance the presidential campaigns of Jesse Jackson. He even helped Al Sharpton out. And y'all trying to tell me Donald Trump hates black people? I don't even know Donald Trump. And I'm looking at the stuff he done, and he don't even talk about it. Dealing with Muhammad Ali or Rosa Parks, he don't even talk about this stuff. So don't tell him about Central Park Fire. But the Donald Trump, okay, there you go. But I'm about to wrap this up. I know I'm not all over the place, but man, I just put something out there because I'm just like, this is a new world for me. I'm not used to. I can't do all that. How people do all this quick blogging, podcasts and stuff. They got a hot take on everything. I ain't built like that. I'm a different breed, man. I can't do it like that. But I'm just trying to throw some stuff up on the wall, see what sticks. Mm. Mm-hmm. This is interesting stuff that I'm thinking about. But yeah, but I'm glad y'all in here. Thank you, Law Dog, for doing your thing. I see you said you wrote a. That's impressive. Mm-mm-mm. This is a thing. There's a lot to talk about, and I think I talk about a little bit of everything. But let me talk about like it's bigger than Diddy. That's all. I guess what I'm trying to say is bigger than Diddy. It's bigger than rap. And my thing is hip hop rap really good for the people? Because like I said, like the rappers of today would have been revolutionaries of yesteryear. And the government don't want the rise of what they call the so-called Black Messiah, right? So you look what happened. That's how COINTELPRO got started. To keep the rise of certain individuals or groups from overthrowing the powers they think they be, because they want to unite the people in solidarity and unity. They want to electrify the audience, the crowd, to move the crowd to do great things, to paradigm shift this matrix where we're in. With that said, I want to touch upon the Dolph thing, which is very disturbing. Like, it was a trial recently. The alleged hitman behind the Dolph situation, one was found guilty in a trial that lasted less than a week. You think about what's going on down in Atlanta with the Young Thug YSL trial, which has been going on for over a year. I don't know how long it's been going on, longer than the OJ trial. It should be a mistrial sometime soon. But they found this guy guilty. His co-partner in crime sung like Whitney Houston on the stand. Excuse me. He sung like Whitney against the guy because he only got $800 at the whole thing. They were promised it was like $100,000 hit allegedly. They was gonna get the middleman $10,000 a piece, the hitters, which would equate to $20,000, and they would have kept $40,000 a piece. But I think allegedly Straight Drop kept all the money, and he only gave the guy who snitched on him $800 because he had a drug problem. He was a known drug addict. And so he said, let's give him $800 because Straight Drop had the money, no doubt, because he had done music videos. He was an aspiring rapper. He did a couple of music videos, had on high price clothes, fancy car, had stacks of money in the video. So I'm guessing he got the more than his share of the contract after getting rid of Dolph, which is sad. But the guy was the key witness for the state. They found this guy they called Straight Drop guilty, and I guess he'll be sentenced sometime in the very, very near future. But with the Dolph thing, which is interesting, is that I think it's really sad because I look at Dolph. Dolph's like he had a big heart. I know people that work with Dolph that did his videos back in the day and stuff like that. And it's like he gave a lot to his community. He loved being from Memphis. He lived in Atlanta or outside of Atlanta, but he would come back to Memphis. The people were in Memphis. Now, Dolph was born in Chicago, but he was raised in Memphis. And my thing is not where you born, it's where you from. So he could be born in Chicago, but he's from Memphis. Because he was raised there. It's like Aretha was born in Memphis, but she's from Detroit. She was raised in Detroit, and she'll tell you that. Or she would have told you that. But we still claim her too. But Dolph was an interesting dude. And unfortunately, he got taken out here, getting some cookies for his mama in his old neighborhood stomping grounds, whatever. And we also lost Big Jook, who was Yo Gotti's big brother, who was helped by young Dolph at one point in life when he got out of prison, and he wasn't really messing with his brother Yo Gotti like that. Is from my understanding, young Dolph provided some financial aid for Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother. But somehow they had a falling out because, CMG, Yo Gotti's label, wanted to sign Dolph. Dolph said no, he wanted to stay independent and because he could make more money, he could have more money. And they had a falling out. His debut studio album was King of Memphis. Did a lot of mixtapes up to that time. He had the anthem Preach. That's a hood anthem, Preach. Several remixes of Preach. I love them all. and he got really violent. Dolph survived a couple of hits on his life in Charlotte, 100 shots, shot up a van, a Sprinter van or some van, a rental car, whatever he was bulletproof. Got shot up 100 times, whatever. He did a concert that night. This is North Carolina and Charlotte. Then later on that year, he got almost killed in Hollywood in California. Luckily, he survived that. So he had several attempts on his life like Trump. They treated him like Donald Trump in the rap game. And he still came back and fight. Still put out that hot fire. Still was doing good in the hood. And he got taken out of here, unfortunately. The same week he was going to give away turkeys to the hood. And it's really unfortunate. I was really hip to Dolph like that. I remember going out of town and people would tell me, like, if I go to Ferguson, Missouri, or Baltimore, and they asked me where I'm from, and I said I was from Memphis, and I said, man, I know you mess with the Dolph, man. You mess with the Dolph, the Dolph, the Dolphin? No, man, young Dolph. Man, that's the man. I know Dolph. I said, okay. So it took me going out of Memphis to hear about who he was, and I listened to some of his music. I like his music. But my thing about the music and rap and stuff like that is like it's not a lifestyle, it's a death style, right? I'm not trying to editorialize the music. I love listening to rap. I grew up on rap and stuff like that. But when you start looking at things after going through life and you look at you got time to look at stuff, look over your life, and you say, man, this is like death tunes. This is a death style because you're not speaking life. A lot of times these rappers are speaking death. They're casting spells. You spelling a wordsmith. They're wizards with the words, and words create worlds and stuff like that. It's interesting. Dolph was cousins. His blood cousin was Juice WRLD. Dolph blood cousin was Juice WRLD. And you see how he went out of here. He's a very talented young man. And he took himself out of here allegedly because he was under pressure. He couldn't. I wish he didn't make that decision because he wasn't like he would still be here. Might have to do some jail time, whatever he could. I don't know, who knows? But anyway, that was his blood cousin. So you lost Dolph and Juice WRLD from one family, which is interesting. But I think Memphis didn't treat him like he should have been treated. I look at Atlanta. If you look at Atlanta, you look at Killer Mike and T.I. They are sons of Atlanta. They sons of the South like Dolph, but they sons of Atlanta. And Atlanta does business with their local celebrity stars. They do business with T.I. and Killer Mike in Atlanta. They own businesses. They got a direct line to the office of the mayor. They are respected by their people down there. And like I always tell people about the difference between Atlanta and Memphis is that in Atlanta, white folks love money more than they hate black people. But it seems like in Memphis, white folks hate black people more than they love money. It is what it is. But, it's interesting. But Dolph thing is fascinating. And you start peeling back the layers. Like you look at with the Lil Durk situation. Are the feds cooking up a RICO charge against Yo Gotti and CMG? Because Big Juke at the time of Dolph death was working for his brother, Yo Gotti, at CMG. And it said that Big Juke provided the bag for the contract on Dolph's head. And Big Juke was taken out of here earlier this year, back in January of 2024. Earlier this year, with his mama in the car. Luckily, his mama survived, but they got him after a funeral at a repast out in Southeast Memphis, near the restaurant where his family or his brother owns. But it was a different restaurant, but it's like some type of Godfather 2 or whatever stuff. They took him out of here, man, in front of his mama. But people, it's easy to put things on a dead man, as they like to do. It's like with even Little Durk and King Von situation. King Von been dead for close to 4 years. And people were saying, well, Lil Durk was allegedly riding for King Von. And King Von allegedly had a lot of bodies on his resume. So, you listen to these raps. They lived the life of their song. But, I go back to what I talked about CB4 earlier. When it showed like really the government side out behind the music industry as it relates to young people, in particular to rap or gangster rap at the time. It's like, CB4, look at CB4. Three movies I said: Zoolander, CB4, and Idiocracy. Look at those movies right now in 2024, and look at the things that you missed out on that you caught now with older eyes, with more seasoned eyes. You see things differently because I got my magic glasses prescription a little bit stronger now than I did back then. But with that said, Diddy blew up Kid Cudi car and then put 500,000 on the head because he more talented. What up with that? That's interesting. I heard about the Kid Cudi thing with Diddy. Well, it would make Diddy would have fit in with old Hollywood because Frank Sinatra had a legendary temper from back in the day, and he was associated with mobsters. There's pictures of Frank Sinatra with Carlo Gambino at one of his concerts and whatnot. But Diddy ain't the only monster though. It's like who's the real monster? Is it Frankenstein or is it Dr. Frankenstein? And I believe it's the system that produced these type of people because I heard the story about Diddy allegedly holding Wale over a balcony. The rapper Wale, he got mad because he was talking to Cassie in the studio or something like that. And he, according to some people, Diddy or his bodyguard, whatever, they put a Wale over the balcony by his ankles, or something like that. Yeah, they might be on YouTube. There's a couple movies on YouTube I'll check out, or Tubi or one, or even on Amazon Prime, whatever. But just check out those movies: CB4, Zoolander, and Idiocracy. And it's a lot of stuff to cover. What I'm saying is, we're at a point in life right now where people should be more concerned about living their life instead of watching a game, a distraction, or care about celebrities and stuff like that. Because if you do this life thing right, every day is a sport. You in there, you are in the arena. Every day of your life is a game 7. Every day of your life is a game 7. What they're saying, like I try to cover a little bit of everything, but I'm gonna wrap it up because this is Jimmie Lunsford Memory Festival Week. I wanted to do something tonight in honor of the legacy of Jimmie Lunsford. And I think it's sad when I think about these rappers, the way they're dying and what's going on with them. And I think about Mr. James Melvin Lunsford, who was the king of swing, who was the biggest, most popular swing dance band for black people in America back in the 30s and 40s. It was known as the Harlem Express. But what I love about his story is that he would give back. He was a true philanthropist and a humanitarian. Like he would start music education programs for young people throughout the country to keep them out of trouble with the law as a way of a rites of passage to teach them life skills and stuff like that. Even when he became famous and rich and all that, he would come back to Memphis and do free musician clinics and concerts with kids at Manassas High School, where he taught band and taught back in the 20s. He never forgot where he came from. He would always give back, and he made his great music organization from the people he helped develop, like the young students that were in his high school band. They became the foundation, the nucleus of his swing band that was the rival of bands like Duke Ellington and Count Basie. This is a story that needs to be made into a award-winning movie. And I'm honored to be able to talk about this, but he had music that was not about bringing us down. It was high vibrational music. It was very soothing, very healing. It brought a lot of joy to people. When I talk to people, the elders who are passing away and becoming ancestors, they have a gleam in their eye. When I mention Jimmie Lunsford, those who are still around to remember the greatness of Mr. Lunsford. But unfortunately, a lot of these people who enjoyed Mr. Lunsford while they were in their youth, they did not leave any type of thing behind to talk about the greatness of Mr. Lunsford. A lot of times their family members are dismissive. A lot of us don't listen to the older people in our family who might have all they have the gems, the jewels of life, the wisdom, the insight. We don't have the patience. We live in a very microwave mentality society. With that said, I want to make sure that the younger generations don't forget about what this black man done. He was a black man. He was tall, dark, and handsome. He was athletic. He was gifted. He was an intellectual. He wore suits and ties and all that stuff. He was a gentleman. He did not swear or curse. He did not drink or smoke. He had a clean life, and he died on unusual, suspect circumstances. All the same, because like Mr. Anderson Abel Jr., who was my Jegna, who also was a super fan of Mr. Lunsford, he would tell me, "Ron, nobody dies a natural death in show business," and Mr. Lunsford was no exception. And but I think about what would he be thinking about the state of our music and our so-called community today. Be an interesting insight, you know. But the thing about where we were at that point to where we are now, we need a wake-up call, and I believe it's coming now. So with that said, I want to thank everybody because I don't know. I talked about Little Durk, I talked about Dolph, I talked about Diddy, even added Lou Pearlman. Cause people never talk about Lou Pearlman. He ain't been dead that long, and is he really dead? That's the thing. I mean, they tell us he's dead. They say he died while doing a procedure, an operating procedure on his heart valve. Who knows? I mean, people fake their deaths all the time, allegedly. But I don't know. He faked, but it's $300 million that never been accounted for. That maybe he's counting somewhere on an island with some other people. But anyway, thank y'all. Thank you for tuning out to tune in to get in where you fit in. Dr. King said human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. I am Captain Creatively Maladjusted. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. If you like the words from Brother Hurd, please spread the word. Go to We All Be TV 2. We are on We All Be TV 2 on YT. I call it YouTube. I call YouTube YT. YT. We All Be TV 2, or you go to Rumble. Rumble.com/We All Be TV. That's rumble.com/We All Be TV. And you want to support the movement? Can you subscribe? Go to subscribe. That's our backup channel off the White Tea Plantation. Rumble.com/We All Be TV. Also, buy gear you can wear with Art of His Art. Go there. If you want to send a donation through the snail mail, you fail me, a donation, go to right here. Attention, Ronald Hurd II, the We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Once again, that's Ronald Hurd II, the We All Be Group Incorporated, P.O. Box 752-062, Memphis, Tennessee 38175. Johnny 5, stay alive. Choose 901, baby. Also, patreon.com. You go there, /We All Be. And you could cash app your support, $R2C2H2. You could Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle, R2C2H2 @gmail.com. You could Vimo at R2C2H2, Apple Cash 901-299-4355. So thank you, everybody. I think that covers everything. Thank you out there who brave the night to listen to Brother Ron tonight. Yes, make families, have babies, and love one another. Case closed. Hey, thank you, Law Dog. We love you, man. Yep. Thank y'all for listening. I just want to make sure I got everybody. Thank you, Brother Jones. I saw your message that you left on one of my posts. I'm glad that you are in better health as well. I pray that you are in better health and that, brighter days are ahead, because I'm glad that you was able, it's like you advocated for yourself and was able to save your leg. So I thank you so much for sharing that with us, and praises be to the Most High. God bless everybody. Yes, Satan, get behind Brother Ron now. Thank you, sister, I received that as usual. So that's it for now. Y'all take care. God bless. Good night. And know that the best is yet to come because we all be in it to win it. The devil is the lie, or the devil is a lie, and God is the truth. See how it works. God is real. One love.